Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Times Square Today. I am your host, Zach Vescomi, and today I am sitting with Dave Kozak. Dave is a really interesting guy. We had a lot of time to talk behind stage here.
Yep.
But first, Dave, thanks a lot for being on the set with me.
No, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to tell the story, so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you. And so as we were talking a little bit before, I mean, you've got a number of different businesses now that all started with this college planning.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit more about how you got into that and really where that's brought you now.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I entered into the financial environment, it was kind of shark-infested waters, right? 2008 had just happened. Everybody was trying to make a name for themselves to get money under management and get back in. I just didn't want to be in that rat race. And it wasn't until a client approached me that I had been working with about paying for college. And they didn't have enough money. They had done all the traditional stuff. They had planned in the 401k and the 529s and all that, but they weren't going to make it work. And so we had to do kind of like real action planning in that moment for cash flow. In doing that, it opened me up to an entire world of kind of that quality help you can give someone making an impact in a family's life, both on the parent side and the student side. And where else can you help two generations find success and not bankrupt their retirement? So it was a fantastic thing, and it really just parlayed into elite collegiate planning being everything that families kind of need.
Yeah, and so you're the founder and CEO of Elite College Planning.
Yep.
That's really kind of the gateway of what you've been doing and how you help educate people. And it's really exciting stuff too, because I mean, we have the benefit of talking with a lot of different financial advisors and people in that industry, but as we were talking about before, and as you just mentioned, not a lot of people are spending enough time in helping them plan for their kids' future as well.
Agreed. If you've got to pay $500,000 for two kids to go to college, it's going to have a retirement effect. So you absolutely have to consider it so that you're not ruining your retirement and you're also not failing your kids' launch, right? That's what it's all about. We all, as parents, I have 4 children. We talked before, you have children as well, and you don't want them to jump and not have some type of net, but you also can't bankrupt your retirement doing it, right?
Yeah, and that's a big thing I think a lot of people, even myself, don't really think about is that, once we get into retirement, it's like if I'm paying down their college debt with the way the market is and the economy these days too, it's coming out of my retirement fund in order to be able to do
Without
that.
question. And I mean, there's been articles written in the Wall Street Journal about, baby boomers are lamenting because they're now paying their kids' college debt, but they're in retirement, so they're spending their Social Security checks to pay down college debt that they took on for their kids to go to the elite schools. And the reality is you just don't have to do it that way. And conventional wisdom doesn't really work in the college arena. And I would venture to say, economically speaking, with the inflation where it is, with everything that's going on, conventional wisdom's out the door right now. You have to think critically and actively for your family and for the betterment of your retirement and your kids' future, right? And that's the reality that we're in.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And so, as we were talking about a little bit here, you got into this college planning and sort of helping families and really being passionate about helping families. So
Yep.
What kind of brought you to even being interested in doing something like that?
Well, I mean, plain and simple, I've been in the insurance industry for a long time. I've been in the financial planning industry, and it was profitable. I was successful, but it wasn't fulfilling. And all of a sudden, the table turned, and now my company, Elite Collegiate Planning and Paradigm Financial Group, are helping kids' futures decide what they want to do. You bring in our other company, the College Planning Network, which actually helps students pick their major and figure out what school's right for them, and you protect people's financial future. It is so fulfilling. And to have someone come into your office and say, you literally changed our life with what was done, and it happens regularly, because we're not doing the planning that is, hey, I can help you earn money and make money. I'm teaching you how to spend it without running out of it. And that's a whole different ballgame for people, because no other time in your life are you asked to just, hey, write a check for $120,000 for your 2 kids to go to school, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. So you have to really be cognizant of the spend down at the same time you're focused on accumulation. And if you can spend down less because you're strategic about what schools they go to and the school choice and the majors, it's going to have a lasting impact on your financial future as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even have to get into the subject of how financial literacy is even taught in schools and things like that.
It is lacking, and part of one of our programs at the College Planning Network and Elite Collegiate Planning is teaching kids just, hey, when you say you're going to take on debt and you sign that document, it's called entrance counseling for the federal government, when you do that, you're accepting a payment whether you have a job or not. Never borrow money without an intention to repay, number one, but number two, how do you know you're going to be able to pay that back? So again, I caution people all the time on how you leverage yourself, especially early in your career, because it delays your marriage, it delays your buying a house, it delays a lot of things if you're over leveraged on your education, right?
Yeah, it's so true. I know a lot of people who are still paying down debts and can't do the things you just mentioned for that very reason. So
it happens every day.
Yeah, and so we were talking too a little bit earlier how you were, you kind of built this from the ground up. It's obviously something that you're really passionate about, and you're feeding a need that I think a lot of people really aren't even aware of. But you've got an amazing team as well. So it's more than just you. I mean, you've got a huge network of people who are really running this. While you're out here getting to talk with me.
I get to do the fun things like this, right? But I have a staff that is just remarkable. The entire company, Paradigm Financial Group is the main company, and Elite Collegiate Planning is basically a subsidiary of Paradigm Financial Group. How they were created doesn't matter. The reality is they work one and the same. And so our team at Paradigm Financial Group and the College Planning Network, they are best in business to help get this done. And I think the unique approach here is that we're not focused simply on someone's finances. We're not focused simply on a child's education. We're focused on how the two impact one another. And if you don't believe those two cross over, everything we've just talked about is kind of like in one ear and out the other, right?
Yeah.
They cross over huge. And so I think we're one of the only companies in the country, our kind of group of companies, that takes a student and a family from knowing nothing about it to educating them fully so that they can make the decisions for themselves. And I think that's what's so important, right? What school are you going to go to? Well, I don't know. Well, let's help you figure out what's a good fit. Parents, can you afford that? Well, let's talk about that from a financial perspective and bring the two together. So that has been amazingly rewarding across the board.
Yeah, I mean, as a father of 3 kids, you're always thinking about, okay, how am I going to retire and how am I going to plan for their future? But quite honestly, even myself, like I've never really married those two things together, and I think that's true of a lot of people, and obviously you're seeing it over and over again.
It happens constantly, and the result is like you're told to save money and accumulate wealth for a lot of your life, right? What's the lesson? Nobody tells you how to spend that money, and the moment that switch flips, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of going, oh well, what now? Do I spend that $100,000? It took me a lifetime to get it, and it's going to take me 30 seconds to write a check to spend it. So you have to brace yourself for that, and those changes are tough. It is emotional. Right, you're dealing with teenagers, you're dealing with underdeveloped minds, you're dealing with parents' nest eggs. It's everything. So you have to approach it in a good fashion and from an educated standpoint.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously you've got a huge network of people now who can do that, and you're very clear on it too. So if one of our viewers wanted to get into contact with you or just find out more about how they could even start that process, what's the best way to reach you?
So the best is to go to our website, elitecollegiateplanning.com/info, and everything you need to know will be right there, and we'll walk you through the process, give you some education about it. I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah, and then I ask everybody this question, obviously being an entrepreneur who's seen a lot of success in a lot of different areas, what would be like your tip to the upcoming generation as far as, or even anybody in how they could be successful as well?
So, I mean, I think the biggest point that I say to everybody is start now, right? Whether you're trying to be an entrepreneur, whether you're trying to figure out what you enjoy in life, what you want to do for a living, all of those things, right? The earlier you start, the better. I heard a very cool quote that I want to share, which is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So no matter whether it's the planning for college, whether it's planning for finance, whether it's trying to figure out what your next step in your career is, start now. Start today. Don't hesitate. Don't wait longer. Procrastination will kill everything, right? The time that you allow to in between ideas is the time that kind of takes things away from you. So again, I think from a college planning standpoint and from a future standpoint, start now. Start dreaming about what it is that you want to do. To the same idea, my whole career has spawned another business called Paradigm Playbook that is about teaching everybody what I did to get where I am. So it's like, you just keep going forward, but start now in whatever you're going to do.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks for that advice.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Times Square Today.